find the gap between the train and the platform. This is Hounslow Central. This is a Piccadilly line service to Cockfosters.
No, they're ringing from their house.
Welcome to a perfect day in London. I think this is the ideal place to start. Where I'm standing 165 years ago, almost exactly, was the site of the Crystal Palace and the Great Exhibition. So what this was is a huge event. It was a collision of the absolute height of technology and the height of art under the roof of this colossal glass structure, glass and iron, in itself an innovation of the time. Back then you had machinery, you had art, you had everything that represented the absolute best that humanity could do. And at the time, stereoscopic photography was an absolute revelation. I mean, Queen Victoria was all over it. It was hugely popular. And they showed some pictures there, but the annoying thing is they didn't take any pictures of the original site. Just imagine this for 1 second. This structure was 1,851 feet long, more than 3 stories tall. The amount of glass and iron in itself was such an innovation at the time that the technology had only just come together to put it all together. Joseph Paxton put it together. This place that I'm standing on right at the moment is where the central fountain was. It was a beautiful 3-tiered fountain. And if you look straight over here, there would have been a Coalbrookdale gate. There's a tree standing right about here. This way, the exhibitions would have been primarily India. They were still the crown jewels of the empire. But I'm going to back off a little bit and let's take a look at the fountain. Let's just map this out for a second. The Greek exhibit was right about here. So how we're going to do this is we're using footage or pictures from the second site to try and recreate what the original site would have looked like. It's a bit of a mishmash, but so am I. Part of the new colony, Canada, actually had a surprisingly large footprint. Its exhibit was right about here. And here would have been medieval England. So here's the thing. This is cool, but it isn't what makes me passionate about photography. I mean, it's interesting, it just is void of any art. Photography is going to be transportative always. But even with stereoscopic stuff, it's less about being on location and more about human experience. So we'll do this. This is cool. And hopefully I'll be able to get access to some material that is exclusive, and we can really experience that, because I think there's a massive wealth of photography that we haven't even explored yet. But it's also about going to the places where iconic photos have been taken, talking with people who love photography. That's what I want to do. So that's what we're going to do. And I hope you love it as much as I do. Well, I'm going to take you to one of my favorite rooms in the world, room 100 at the Victoria and Albert Museum. This is always going to have a selection of their photography collection, which is massive, even more massive now. I should also point out that all the pictures you just saw from the Crystal Palace also comes from their collection, their digital collection. They have a very generous sharing policy. And here are some lovely daguerreotypes in cases. You can see the disco lights off my GoPro. That is a work in progress, obviously. It's a real pity that they don't pick up the daguerreotype effect. Now, here's an example of something very frustrating for me. They have stereoscopic images on the wall, but of course not the glasses to see them properly. I happen to have them with me, so I was able to enjoy these in the way that they are supposed to be seen, but they're exhibited without that equipment, and that's really frustrating for me. Nonetheless, lovely things. And here's some of the animal locomotion images from Edward Muybridge. Interestingly enough, I watched a very charming film about him on the flight over and found out that he was the last man in America to get off on a murder charge because of justifiable homicide. So, what an interesting fellow he is. But the next thing I want to, we're going to switch to, and I apologize for the shakiness, I got to figure out my cinematography, is this lovely, gorgeous stereoscopic daguerreotype. I really hoped that the cameras would pick up the left and right eyes, but they did not. So here's an image of me in reflection in a beautiful, beautiful piece of art. So I wanted to take you to some places that were historically important, at least for me, from a photographic point of view. And this is where Otto Feniger in 1906 took 3 color carbon pictures. They're color pictures on 3 plates of glass, and when you layer them, then they turn full color. He was really innovative. He was basically the inventor of color photography as far as I would consider, and it was right here. So the reason this is that important to me is in 2007 I saw this image and it absolutely blew my mind. It was like looking into a window, literally into the past, into a 100-year-old window. So this is hallowed ground, and thought it's just a nice place to enjoy. So I thought the logical place to end would actually be here at Admiralty Arch, and this is one of the stereoscopic pictures that I happen to have in my own collection. This was completed in 1912. It was a tribute to Queen Victoria after her passing by her son, King Edward VII, but he died before it was completed. This thing just got finished before the First World War and made it all the way through the Second World War as well. If that arch could speak, it wouldn't say a number of incredible, brutal things about humanity. But even in the 40s, stereoscopic photography was still being used, was still hugely popular. So I'm going to step aside and we're going to look at a blended view from World War II. Take a look. Well, thanks for watching. It's been a steep learning curve for me, and I've got a lot more to learn, but I'll figure it out. I know there are glitches, but I will work on those. Next week, it's going to be a different experience again, because when I shot this footage, one of my GoPro cameras died, so I'm down to one camera again. We'll figure it out, and I'll see you then.